Welcome to Destination Marriage, a podcast about successfully navigating the winding roads of marriage. Whether you're newlyweds, engaged, looking to get married, or have been married for years, we want to share with you how we have navigated those winding roads over the past 19 years in our marriage.
Join us on this journey as we talk about real-life experiences in a marriage and what we have learned along the way. We discuss love, travel, fitness, raising kids, friendships, and much more, all from the perspective of our lives together.
Happiness, love, grace, passion are some of the things we all strive for in a marriage, and we invite you to take this journey with us.
Welcome to Destination Marriage.
Welcome to episode 34 of Destination Marriage. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Tommy.
And we are thrilled to have you join us on this journey today.
Yes, we are. So what are we getting into today, baby?
So we are returning back to our Destination Growth series with a phenomenal book that you actually brought to my attention called Atomic Habits.
That's right.
So Atomic Habits, Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of we each kind of read it, and I listened to him give a talk and read through some different things. So let's just kind of give our overall impressions of the book before we kind of dig into the meat of it, and then kind of like how we would apply it. So what do you think, baby? What did you like it?
So initially, overall, yes, I do like the book. It did grab my attention in the beginning. I thought his story was really engaging. I really like I really like reading stories or reading a book or listening to someone talk about obstacles that they've overcome and learning the how and what motivated them. I will just being completely transparent though, throughout the book, I think there were maybe some stories or anecdotes that maybe have lost my attention along the way, because I really like to focus on the actionable steps. What can I really apply? So I think it maybe could have been condensed a little bit, but overall, I mean,
it's a dense
really
book.
Powerful book.
It is. It's a little long. It feels like
I think you could read it a few times.
Yeah,
that's how much there is actually in the book.
Or like, I don't know. My thoughts are the same. It's really good. There's a lot of actionable items. But it does feel like our notes that we took and are talking about it was much more impactful than the book itself, because there's so much, and it's like you can only hear so many stories over and over again. Yeah,
the stories tend to lose me because it jumps around a little bit. Yeah. But if we really just focus on what the actual nuggets are that we can apply, that's what really that's what I was looking for to begin with.
Right. It's just you have to
tell me all about those atomic habits.
You have to get the nuggets throughout the book.
Yeah.
No, but overall, it's really solid. It was a really popular book, I think, a couple years ago, and he kind of ties together. It felt at first when I was reading, I was like, this kind of feels like he's taking a lot of ideas that other people have had or things that I've heard over the years and kind of making it his own. And he kind of acknowledges that some of these are systems that he's sort of combined into a more effective kind of process. And like, it starts off talking about how if you just got 1% better every day, how you'd be like 30+% or 30 times more effective at the end of the year versus if you got 1% less, it would be quite the opposite. You'd be actually worse off at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that's impactful to me. But overall, I think actually for us, as we talked through it, it got more exciting to me because I was like, wait a minute, it's a good kind of gut check to like, okay, where are we at? What can we improve on in our marriage, in our home? So we'll talk about that, but let's jump in. So let's tell me a little bit about his backstory that was intriguing to you.
Yeah. So a little bit about James Clear, just to give you guys kind of a backstory as to how this book came about, what really kind of lit the match or motivated him to go down this path of becoming a New York Times bestseller. So James Clear was a baseball player, just like you, Tommy. And in his sophomore year of high school, he had a terrible accident on the baseball field. He actually got hit. It was an accident. Of course, no one did this on purpose, but he was hit in the face with a baseball bat, suffered a broken nose, skull fractures.
He crushed his face.
And 2 shattered eye sockets.
Yeah, that's nasty.
That sounds pretty painful. So he was obviously brought to the hospital. He was actually placed in an induced coma, and it looked pretty scary for a while there because I think he was having maybe some struggles with breathing, and they really weren't sure immediately
Yeah, it
what
changed
the
his whole
outcome
world.
would be.
He was out for a long time.
He suffered from double vision. He lost his ability to smell. His eyeball bulged out of the socket for weeks. I mean,
That's
just
weird.
that alone. I mean, think about that. You know, if your eyeball
If you
was
see
bulging
him,
out.
if you see him now,
Oh,
because
he
I
looks
watched the
perfectly fine
YouTube.
now.
Yeah, he looks. You would never have guessed something like that.
Yeah.
There's no like visible scar.
But think about it. You're a sophomore. You're 15 years old. You know, this is,
That's life changing.
and he's been playing baseball since he was 4.
Yeah,
So
he always
had-
wanted to play like minor. He always wanted to play professional baseball.
He obviously, this was his heart and soul. He put, you know what that's like to play baseball, and that's your life.
Yeah.
You know, that's all you do. And so he had his eyes on the prize of, you know, remaining on the starting team. And he had his senior year coming up. He really wanted to make the team. And it was his first year when he came back. You know, he didn't make the team. He was cut, which was devastating. So he experienced a lot of depression, disappointment. But he was determined to return to baseball. And he actually made his way back to baseball. And then when he went to college, he said that was actually his turning point. So he made the baseball team when he went to college. But here's the thing that I really thought, wow, that's really mature of him. He actually decided, look, I'm not a starter. I made the team. I'm going to make the most of this time. I'm going to focus on the things that I can control. And that's really where it started, where he recognized if I'm in control of my habits, the things that are going to really help me to thrive in other areas of my life, what can this do for me? So he actually started to journal the things that he was doing along the way.
And that kind of started his whole journey of becoming an expert on habits.
Yeah. And he really, I mean, if you're journaling every step along the way, he's like, I have something here. He was focusing on his sleep, his studying, his fitness, and he was tracking everything that he was doing, tracking his habits.
Right.
So I thought that was really, I mean, to me, I felt like, wow, at that age to recognize and also to think of ways that you can overcome that obstacle instead of staying in that place.
Right. Yeah, no, I like the how he kind of, yeah, you're right. He recognized that. And that's hard to do in college, or if you're devastated still, like emotionally, you know, like your dream is dead. All right, what can I control? What are the things that I can do? Yeah, it is inspiring.
I mean, let's think about when we were 18 or 19.
I would have never thought of that kind of, not to that
That's a
to
lot
that
of
degree.
emotional maturity right there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 30, 40-year-olds that don't think that way.
So it's evolved, right, over the years. And then he created this book. And so what are atomic habits? And, you know, kind of why does he call them atomic? So he says it's a regular practice or routine that is not only small and easy to do, but also the source of incredible power. I like that. You know, we don't realize how impactful little habits, little things we do, and how much they accumulate and could take us down one path or down another.
Right.
You know, so
It's a domino effect.
I really like this. This rang true to me. I don't know what your thoughts are.
What's that?
When it said, forget about setting goals, focus on systems. And then the quote was, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And this was like a punch in the face a little bit. Like when we were talking about it last night.
Well, you know, it's not that goal setting is a bad thing.
Right.
You know, or focusing on a goal is a negative thing. But if that's the only thing that's driving you to actually make some changes in your life, in your lifestyle, then when the goal is achieved, then what do you do?
Right.
You know, so you had mentioned, I think we were talking about in an earlier podcast, we were talking about different things with our goals because we do annual planning. And you had mentioned, oh, with my workout, I really want to kick it into high gear, but I need a race so I can get motivated so I can work towards that goal. What happens like now when you don't have a race, you know, so that
It made me rethink about that
Yeah.
a little bit. And I think we were talking about this earlier, but I do recognize this, but it also, it's part, but if my system, I think I actually have an underlying system there that's helpful and productive in that now I enjoy the workout, the process. I enjoy the process. So I've got a system of getting started, going, doing the workout.
Yeah.
Now it does with a race, the intensity and the training kind of level picks up, but I think we can apply that in all sorts of areas in our life, right? Like it's not just the goal of, I want to lose 10 pounds or the goal of, you know, I want to be closer with my kids, but yeah, you got to create that system. I love he gave the analogy, kind of was like, oh yeah, I never thought about it that way. He's like,
What's that?
guess what? In any sporting event, two teams, guess what? They have the same goal. One's going to lose, one's going to win. Does that mean the team that lost doesn't have a good, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone's got the same goals in certain environments. So focus on the system and the end result will kind of take care of itself. I like it.
Yeah.
So the 4 stages of habits are 1, cue, 2, craving, 3, response, 4, reward. And I think it's helpful to kind of, I can put that in perspective. I don't think we need to spend too much time kind of going through the cycle of a habit, but what does that mean to you when you see that? Like, breaking it down like that, did you think about it? Like some random habit you have and, oh yeah, I guess there is a cue and then a craving, then a respond, and then a reward.
Yeah, my morning coffee.
The cue is
waking up and I'm like, dang it, I need some caffeine. And then of course immediately craving that delicious pour over coffee.
Right.
The reward is like waking up and then I can be productive.
Yeah.
That's kind of an easy one.
Well, it's the way your brain functions. It's that dopamine, what does he call it? Dopamine cycle, where you get that rush of dopamine when you are cued to drink that coffee, right? Whatever your habit is. Sometimes it could be a negative too, right? Your cue is somebody made you angry. So what do? Then you crave food. And so you eat and then you get that reward of like, oh, I feel good.
Or you feel terrible.
Well, but I mean, it fulfills that need at the moment.
I know what you mean.
So.
Well, the 4 laws of behavior are also something else that he touches on, which also is something that will be kind of broken down throughout the book. But the 4 laws of behavior change for building better habits are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? I haven't thought about it breaking it down. This is part of what he is kind of, or I guess this is really where his system is kind of stands out versus others. So, make it obvious. So what would be an example of that?
Yeah, so make it obvious. A lot of times with making it obvious, you'll want to focus on a certain time or a location. So if you know that you're going to start your morning at 6 a.m., then making it obvious would be setting your alarm and not hitting the snooze button.
Right.
Getting up at 6 a.m. And you know at 6 a.m. you're going to do X, Y, and Z. So if you know that in the morning you want to make it obvious by, I need to take my vitamins, I'm going to have my vitamins placed where I can see them. So it's easy for me to see them every morning. I'm making it obvious. I need to take those. Or if I wanted to go to the gym first thing in the morning, my workout clothes are going to be laid out right there for me. I'm making it obvious.
It's those little things, the little things to build and build and build.
It sounds minor, but these are things that actually change your lifestyle. They change your life.
So what about how to make it attractive? That one, what is that? I kind of struggle with that one as far as like if you're starting to form a good habit. What does making it attractive mean?
So, yeah, I was actually reading through that as well. I'm like, gosh, well, how does that apply to things that habits that I want to change or things that I want to do? Because some habits you're just like, you just have to do them, right? So there's not really any way to make them attractive. You just have to do them. But things that you want to change, when you make it attractive, I guess they focus on craving or temptation bundling. And so when I was looking at temptation bundling, that actually made more sense to me. So if I say, okay, well, I need to make 10 sales calls this morning, 10, cold calls or whatever. But I really want to look up, a new DIY project on Pinterest so I can send it to Tommy so he can work on it. I can tell myself, you know what? I need to complete these 10 sales calls, 10 cold calls. And after those calls, I can then tap into what my craving is, looking at Pinterest and putting together a nice new creative board so Tommy can work on some DIYs this weekend.
I like it.
There you go.
And then making it easy is almost kind of like the make it obvious, right? Make it easy, like remove barriers to, if you want to start a habit. I think you gave the reference of like, I want to read every night.
Yeah.
I want to be a reader at night. So make it easy by, in the morning, you make your bed and put the book you want to read on your pillow.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's actually a really good idea.
Right.
Or leave your Kindle right by your bed.
Yeah. Like it makes it easy. There's no excuse not to do. And then make it satisfying. I love that quote. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Mm-hmm. Right. So you get that reward, whatever that reward is. Even if, like you said, the reward is, I get to go on Pinterest now because I completed that step. And then you just kind of build the chain, right? Build and build and build and get the momentum of that habit by continuing those processes.
Now, he's also very realistic, and he does touch on the fact, and I think people need to also recognize, yes, I may then incorporate a new habit. It doesn't mean I'm going to actually see whatever my result is immediate.
Oh, a lot of times you're not.
You know?
That's that's hard. That's where it's hard. But then it becomes, I think weight loss is one of the things that's, easy to kind of visualize.
Or even becoming more organized. Let's say I just really want my home to stay organized. If you were never organized to begin with and you clean your house and you organize it all in one weekend, it's going to change. It's going to require that you change your habits in order to keep it that way.
Right.
So you're not having to do...
if your goal is just to clean the house, boom, you're done. Now what? Now you used to go back to the
2 days later,
same habits.
It goes back to the same mess?
Of hoarding.
Yeah. Of hoarding. Your favorite.
And then the reverse is true, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just starting new habits, it's breaking bad ones.
Yeah.
And so the first step, kind of everything's basically the opposite of the good habits. So number one is make it invisible, right? Take it away.
Remove anything yeah.
And so the first step would be, I'm going to remove those Oreo cookies.
The ones that you brought home.
That Dylan ate all of them. I had one.
But you purchased them and
well,
brought them
I might
into
have
the
had
house.
almost an entire Chips Ahoy box or whatever in 2 days. Yeah. But the point is...
This is why I don't buy those things.
I know, right?
I leave them at the store. Make it invisible.
Make it invisible.
Yeah.
Right? So take that, whatever that temptation is of a bad habit, take it away. And that's a starting point.
Right.
And then make it unattractive.
How do you make a chocolate chip cookie unattractive?
I guess
that's
it's more
a challenge. How do you make?
It's never unattractive.
I don't know. Maybe stumped on that one.
But I think it's harder. I think to make it unattractive. I mean, it makes sense, but I can't really explain it. So I don't know. I'm struggling.
Maybe
with that.
after you eat the cookie, how do you feel?
And then kind of note that and make that unattractive, and like what you're going to look like or feel like.
How you? Yeah. Because I mean, think about it. Once you actually have that item or whatever that craving is, you feel like you needed that item or that food, or you did something that removed you from your positive habit, how do you feel afterwards? So maybe that's what's making it unattractive.
Yeah. And then make it difficult. I think he gave the example of for him as a writer, he recognized that he would get lost in social media and post and like and comment and stuff. So he made one of the things he did on his phone.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing he did, I don't know if you read this part or remember, but he said his assistant actually on Monday mornings logs him out of all his social media accounts and changes the password.
Oh, wow.
And then on Friday afternoon, she gives him the new passwords, and then he has, social media over the weekend because he recognized that my goal is to be a writer, or that's the habit I'm trying to do is become a good writer.
Yeah.
That was killing that. So, and I think another reference is, and to kind of slow himself down on social media, he put social media apps, like buried them on his phone, like in a folder within a folder. So it was like, instead of just clicking on it and being right there, it's 3 clicks. Now that's a silly little...
3 whole clicks.
I know, it's a silly example, but the idea is like, okay, you set those barriers, you make it difficult.
Changing the passwords is
that's more powerful, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's committed to changing that habit.
Okay, so if we wanted to not watch TV...
I'm not doing that.
If we wanted to watch
I'm not hiding the remote.
Well, I mean, right? That would make it difficult.
Sometimes it hides itself, so I'm not going to hide it.
I mean, ultimately, if we took it off the wall, that would be...
Take the television off the wall.
Just giving an example of making it difficult.
Okay.
You're getting really worked up over there.
Well, we don't watch that much TV, but let's be real, okay? Mm-hmm. At 2:00 in the morning, I need to turn the TV on at times.
So, and then the fourth is make it unsatisfying.
Making your bad habit unsatisfying.
Making your bad habit unsatisfying. You kind of turn into like, you recognize, I don't feel right. I feel terrible when I do X. Mm-hmm.
Or you regret it. Like
if
he recognized being on his phone Monday through Friday was removing him from his creative headspace, to write or do whatever he needed to do for his job, then at the end of the day, that's unsatisfying. He felt like he failed.
Yeah, I think...
that can ring true for a lot of people when it comes to social media. How much time, I don't think you're on social media as much as I am, but I feel like there are days I'm like, gosh, I wish I just didn't waste an hour, getting sucked into this TikTok world, looking at all these videos.
Yeah. All right. So why don't you talk a little bit about how he kind of frames up looking at your life?
Yeah. So one of the things that they actually recommend, or he recommends in the book, is starting with a habit score. So this is something you can initially start with. Just write a list of the things that you do in the morning, in the afternoon, throughout your day. So for example, super easy. I start my day, brush my teeth, wash my face, coffee, check my phone, email.
Why don't you rephrase that? You
Okay.
wake up, check your phone.
I wake up. Yeah, you're right. It's really, I wake up, I check my phone. And I do have my phone next to me, not because I'm obsessed with social media. I mean, the reality is I have my phone there because
That's our
we
only
have a
phone.
child that lives outside of the home. Yeah, we don't have a home
it's-
phone. But for emergencies, like I
Right.
leave it right there. But you are right. I do check my phone first. Brush my teeth, wash my face, coffee, check email. So let's just go through those first 5. I'm not going to go through my whole day. My first one, checking my phone, would actually be a minus.
Yep.
Okay. Because that's really taking away. That should never be your first thing that you do. I need to change that. Okay. Now, the things that everyone has to do, brush your teeth, wash your face, those would be
Neutral or
neutrals.
positive? Yeah.
Yeah, they would be an equal sign. So you would put an equal sign next to anything that's neutral. A plus sign for me would be coffee because I love my delicious coffee. But if you are trying to remove caffeine from your life, it probably would be a minus.
So the idea is then to like do that for your whole day.
Exactly.
It's
your
like
whole
scorecard.
day.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, like
it's
a
called
score.
a
Habit score.
scorecard. And then you can really assess, okay, what
What's-
you need to
yeah.
remove and what really is just part of everyone's day. You're going to wash your face. There are neutral things.
Go to work.
Right.
Make dinner.
Drive.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So do the laundry. Now, in between your habit score, then you're going to figure out in between those just everyday things where you can implement your actual habits that you want to now incorporate into your life.
Okay.
So if I want to become a reader, I'm going to say, okay, let's say after I take my bath and I do my skincare, instead of, I'm going to go watch Real Housewives, I'm going
90
to...
Day Fiancé.
90 Day Fiancé.
Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight. I love
You
that
got me
show.
sucked into that one a little bit.
I don't know how people are not really into this show yet. Anyways, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go to my Kindle.
That's a whole nother
that I've
episode.
already laid on my pillow, and I'm going to have, even if it's like a 30-minute window, okay? And I'm going to start reading my book. So you're going to go through
Now,
a scorecard.
hold on. So 30 minutes.
Yes.
That would be against his philosophy, right? Start with 2 minutes. Like start with small. Don't commit to 30 minutes of reading.
Could be small for somebody else. I'm just saying,
Yeah, depending on the
whatever is
habit.
small
Right,
for
right.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it could be small for you, whatever it is for you. So if you're definitely not a reader at all, you may just need to start with reading 1 page.
And that's, I think we kind of hit on a little bit, but that's such a key point in the whole process and the whole system is just get started.
Yeah.
What is that? Like the habit of showing up.
Showing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like showing up can be applied to so many different things. Like, but the reality is if you don't show up, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You're not even going to read a sentence.
So, okay. So that's good. I like that habit score. Actually, the more you explain it, when I kind of read through it, I was like, this does, because he was talking about the morning routine. I was like, it doesn't really make sense. But if you're honest,
That's because we don't have, we need a morning routine.
I know,
And we need a night routine.
yeah, we're out of whack.
We really are.
Yeah. All right. So
This book could not have come at the
Right?
better time. I'm serious. After last year, because we were we thrive on a regimen or a routine. We really do.
yeah, 2020 with jobs and working at home, and it was totally different. And now we'll talk about that in a little bit. But and then part of that kind of next step is that this idea of habit stacking. I think you really like this. So it's taking a current habit you already have and then adding or stacking your new behavior on top. Could you kind of explain how that works and what the kind of result would be?
Right. So habit stacking would be, I already have certain habits that are a part of my day. So I already know once I go through my habit score, and it could be, you know what, I already go to the gym at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Actually, those are the worst times. I go to the gym at 7 o'clock, right? But I really want to start incorporating a new nighttime routine. So what I'm going to do now for habit stacking in my scorecard, I know now when I leave the gym, I'm going to come home immediately and I'm going to drink 2 tall glasses of water and immediately take care of my skin instead of or my skincare, so I'm not sitting in sweaty clothes, you know, or whatever it may be. Or I'm going to make sure in the morning that I hydrate before I caffeinate. So actually, I am trying to do that.
I do that. I read that, yeah.
Okay, I
and
don't
so I
have
do
that
that
habit
with water.
yet. Full disclosure, I am trying to do that before I go to my coffee. I'm trying to hydrate before I caffeinate, which I think everyone should do. But being honest here, I'm not fully on board with that. I'm trying to.
So that's kind of, so that's kind of in that temptation bundling almost. Make it attractive. So you follow up behind a habit you do, and just,
right.
So it's more of like you recognize that you have this habit that's positive. Okay. I'm going to build on that, and I'm going to add whatever whatever that habit is to that right after that habit.
Right after. It should be something that immediately follows, or it could be right before. Obviously, the water would be more before.
You're creating new cues in your head.
Yeah.
Right. And so your cue is, I wanted to, maybe it's, I want to drink. I don't know, but yeah, I like it. It makes total sense when you kind of break it down.
Right. And it can even be certain things that you do in your home. Let's say it has nothing to do with working out or, food consumption. Let's say, I really want to get better about preventing my laundry from piling up. Okay. I know you're the laundry master in our household, but let's say you have a system and we're finding out that we're really getting behind on towels. So maybe now you say, what I'm going to do on Monday nights, I'm going to make sure after X, Y, and Z, I start the first load of towels. So come Thursday, we're not without towels. So you're going to start doing that at a certain time, like right after dinner, I do a load of towels. You enjoy laundry. So,
it kind of reminds me of that. Remember that episode of The Office where Jim was training Dwight to stick out his hand every time he heard like an email ding or something.
Oh, with an Altoid? Yeah.
And then finally he just, over time, that's the cue, right? And then it becomes you get conditioned to it. I like it though. All right. So what are some other before we kind of hit on how we are going to apply this, and maybe how some of our listeners, some ideas for our listeners, any kind of other, I'll just kind of go through some other kind of notes I took on like kind of key phrases that I think are pretty important.
That kind of jumped off the page to you?
Yeah. I think we're going to talk about this with us, but like motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. I really like that.
Right.
Being in the right environment physically, your home, whatever, your workspace.
I think that's huge.
Yeah. And creating an environment for positivity towards reaching those goals is really important. And we talked about this. I talked about just kind of getting started and just show up. But another piece that he said is, if you want to master a habit, the key is to start with repetition, not perfection. Just go, start, even if it's small, 2 minutes, whatever that is, and then build that momentum, they kind of like build that chain, right? That chain, so I like it. I do well when I hear analogies and things. So like that, the idea of like building a habit is like, okay, you've got each day is a new link in that chain. Don't break the chain.
Okay.
That makes sense to me. Or, put a calendar up on the wall, and every time you successfully do whatever your habit you're trying to form is, put a little X in the calendar, and you'll see those calendar days get filled up. Then it's like, boom.
That's how you work though. I could see how that would really speak to you. When I hear things about like repetition, that's where I would have to work on my patience.
Yeah, honestly, I think so.
To me, it's like, is there no
I think
end
there's
in
a
sight?
fear of becoming boring that you have sometimes.
Yeah, it could seem monotonous,
But but he even says like, forming a habit and having good habits is freeing. It's not a prison.
Right.
Right. A routine.
I don't disagree with that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying when it talks about each link in the chain, like I could feel it. I envision like me sitting there making one of those construction paper chains that leads to nowhere. But that's just where my mind goes.
So along the lines of that analogy,
yeah.
Another kind of thing I thought was really important is how to recover quickly when your habits break down.
Okay. Right.
And so if every day you're supposed to do X and then you miss, the key is getting back up and never missing twice. So you're building momentum. Okay, I missed a day. Don't miss twice. Because now if you miss twice, you're now building momentum in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Then you're working against yourself at that point.
Yeah.
Or you're creating a new habit.
That's what I mean.
bad one.
You're going, you're going towards a bad direction. But you're building momentum by doing it 2 days in a row or whatever that time frame is. So I thought that was, I like that quote.
That's a good one.
All right, baby.
Yeah.
How do we apply? Let's kind of break it down. So how do we apply it to our household?
Okay.
Then we'll maybe like how do we apply it to our marriage specifically, and then how do we apply it kind of individually? If we
Let's start with the first one. So how do we apply it to our household?
Yeah, I think the environment component is really important there.
I think so. Well, obviously, working from home, it's important for me to have like a designated workspace. It's also really important for the flow of our home and the energy of our home to have things orderly. It does bring a certain peace of mind when things are where they should be.
Sure.
So, I think having some type of structure in place, whether it be with home organization or how things are done in the home, you're also setting an expectation for your children. And then they are also, just because they're going to naturally model after what they see every day, they're going to create those habits as well. I mean, that's also part of the book, talking about sometimes the habits that we also adopt are because of the individuals that are around us. So you, in your environment at home, you are affecting not only yourself, but your children, the people that are in your home. You're setting that environment.
I think, truth be told, we could do a better job for Dylan because of the way school is structured this year and all these weird days and he's not in a good routine anymore with getting up. It's
This
up and
last
down
year,
and up and down.
no, yeah, this last year's been terrible with habits and just our routine, or lack thereof, I should say.
And you feel it, right? Like emotionally, it's draining.
Well, I was telling you that I felt like, gosh, without having a certain routine, morning routine or night routine, I've been staying up at all hours.
Yeah, our sleep patterns are off.
I'm not a night owl.
Our sleep patterns are off. We're still
my mind feels
functioning.
foggy.
Right? Yeah, isn't that weird how that?
Yeah.
You think, I want to be spontaneous, maybe, but no, spontaneity without any type of structure or routine.
I need structure. I need routine.
It drains you emotionally.
And we were very routine before.
Yeah.
And so was Dylan. I mean, Dylan was as well, with having the structure of school and sports. Without having that, it's just kind of like I don't even know. You're just kind of floating midair, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to kind of talk about a little bit more in depth about how do we create a better environment. Not that the environment's bad, right? It's not like it's chaos. It's just not structured.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right.
I think that we could be more effective.
Yeah.
With our time
this
for
book
work.
is going to be helpful for that. We got to kind of really build that out.
Right. We're going to sit down and, I already started kind of going through just my habit score, which I already have a negative when I start my day because I look at my phone. So I'm already minus. But before I even get downstairs. But I think we should kind of look at our day together, honestly, like write it out and go through our score together.
Okay, let's do it.
Maybe we should score each other's.
No, I think it needs to be self-reflection. But we'll talk about that in a second,
Okay.
as far as not the score, but you know, how can we help each other too? So that's our household. What about our marriage? How would you apply this kind of in marriage?
Yeah. So, I think in marriage, there are little things that you can create as habits that, maybe when we're doing your habits where you're looking at certain things that you want to implement into your marriage, where there's maybe areas that are lacking, you can say, I really want to be more mindful of my spouse's needs. And maybe on, Mondays when I'm working from home, I can bring my spouse their special lunch that they really love. So I'm going to put a reminder on my phone. I'm going to make it a habit. So it's something that I always do. I'm going to pick up something that they really enjoy on the weekends. So we can implement those same habits, little things that are either a daily routine or every week or on the weekends, just to let our spouse know that we're thinking of them.
Sure. Or
maybe habits that we're doing right now that are bad habits that are putting a stress on our spouse. We can make a habit of removing that negative, whatever it may be. Instead of leaving your glass laying around, I'm going to bring my glass to the dishwasher so my spouse doesn't have to come clean up after me. I don't know, like little
and then
things.
put it in that structure of, cue, craving, response.
Here's the other thing, though. I feel very strongly about this, and this applies not only to household but also to marriage, is, when you get married and also you become a parent, or even if you're not a parent, but when you become married, when you become a husband or a wife, it's not only about you. So you do need to do some self-reflection.
I think a lot of people struggle with that, yeah.
like we said, we're going to go through our habit score. It's not just like you said, well, it's something for self-reflection for ourselves. No, it's not only about me. I need to look at this and see how does it affect my spouse. So
Sure. Well, I meant as far as the score is
Right.
something that should be done.
but if we're going to do it together and there are things that really are negatively impacting your spouse, you should be honest with one another or tell your spouse, this is something that's really negatively impacting me. If I don't want to show up, okay, then I'm being selfish. You should show up. You should want to implement positive new habits so you can both reach those, whatever those things are, you know, whether future goals together.
So
you
maybe
know?
we do the habit score and then swap. And I look at yours, you look at mine, and there may be glaring holes that are needs of mine, or needs of yours that neither of us recognize. And then
Okay.
maybe it's a good opportunity to look at, here's an opportunity to start that new habit to help me meet your needs, which will help our marriage. And you help you meet my needs, which will
like
help our
it.
marriage.
Okay. Let's
we
do
got a
it.
plan. So we asked a question. We kind of had this discussion, and we were talking about this
What's that?
around the routine. So do we play a role in creating, and I say we, like, do we toward each other,
Yeah.
you know, good or bad, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, do we play a role in creating the right habits in our spouse or even holding on to bad habits? You know, we kind of gave the reference, we were thinking about this is like when I was traveling a lot for previous jobs, or if you would go away on, you know, a girls trip, or you would go away for work or whatever, it's kind of this instinctual, just, you just get into a routine, you take care of stuff, you manage those things. Right. And then when we're both here, or all of 2020, when we're all in quarantine, are we like kind of hurting each other because
Do you want to watch a movie? Do
or
you wanna,
I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like,
Yeah.
not hurting, but like, are we not?
We're not holding each other accountable
In a
to
way,
the
right?
habits that we really want, positive habits that we want to continue or implement. I think a lot of people went into this last year and they probably were, like you and I both, were very routine. We had a certain, you know, process in place. When you traveled, I mean, I ran the house a certain way.
You got up. You had to get up early. You did this. You did that every
I was
morning.
getting up at 5:50 every morning. My alarm went off, and it wasn't like I'm going to hit this. That wasn't an option. I had to get up.
Right. So necessity created that.
Yeah.
But is the necessity because we just almost like rely on each other
and now that you're here,
to take care of things, and then we take it for granted? Or I don't know. It's kind of it's got us thinking. How's that?
things
It's got
have
us really
become more
thinking.
relaxed. I'll put it that way. It's not like we're bringing each other down into some,
Right.
you know, pile of quicksand or anything. But yeah, there are certain things that I feel like we're not at our peak performance because we're just so, I don't know, lackadaisical. It feels like we're just
It sounds like we're just like
not really
slobs
pushing
sitting
each
around
other.
doing nothing. But
No,
that's not the, but it's, we both kind of feel it. Like there's just this
versus
feeling.
where we were, I
Yeah.
feel like a little over a year ago at this point, because now we're in February.
Yeah. So I think we need to, we got some follow-ups to be
We have
honest
some
about.
work to do.
We do. I think this book, the more I talk about it and think about it, and, you know, first I read through it and it's like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Then as I start applying it mentally about potential, wow, or assess where we're at and the habits we're not doing, maybe that's a big piece of why there's been like emotional up and downs this past year. Obviously there's real issues around COVID and, you know, jobs and all this kind of stuff, but
And you know why I said earlier, I feel like this book really comes at the right time also,
Very
because
much.
in the very beginning, in the very first chapter, he said, look, there was a lot that I couldn't control, but if I focused on even the little things that I could control, it really changed his emotional and mental well-being. And look how many people, including us, you know, have been impacted by, you know, this pandemic and COVID and, you know, job changes and school changes and everything. If you focus on just those little things, it does make you feel like you have some sense of control.
Sure.
You know? But we just need to tighten the reins a little bit over here, Kuiper.
yeah, I like this quote. It kind of sums it up a little bit. So people get caught up in the fact that they have limits, but they rarely exert the effort required to even get close to those limits. Kind of a, you know, are you self, you know, what's the kind of like
Self-sabotaging?
self-sabotaging yourself mentally because, oh, well, I can't control that. look, everybody, I can't control that. Therefore, I'm not going to even put the effort to get to that point where you can, to what that limit is.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of kind of looking at it, right? We've got some work, babe. We got some follow-ups. I like this book. So everybody, all our listeners, we'd love to hear from you if you kind of agree, if you're feeling some of the similar things in your household. Maybe what are some of the steps you've taken, or maybe go buy the book.
Yeah, go buy the book. I know Tommy listened to it on Audible.
Yeah, I listened to Audible, and then I watched him present. He's all over the internet, and he's a guest on a number of podcasts, but he's not a real dynamic speaker. He's pretty straightforward. His inflection's fine, but he's not going to come wow you with his kind of presence, but he's really solid. Obviously the information's powerful. But you can listen to him, some of his talks are an hour, 40 minutes, and really get a good sense of the book. I mean, he's basically, it's kind of it's a
great system. He has a lot of good instruction. I did listen to an interview he had done, and you're right, he's very direct. But these are things that he's proven, or that have been proven to work for him. So, he's speaking from experience. But it's a great book. I probably could read it, maybe 2 more times, because I'm sure there's so much there. I probably missed a few things here or there, but it's a good book. So again, it's Atomic Habits by James Clear. Yeah, and we hope that this was helpful for you, especially if you're, like you said, we're all kind of in this same boat in a lot of ways, with the impacts of COVID, and we're kind of hopefully coming out of it, but there's also a lot still to be determined lingering. And still lingering. And I'm certain if you had kids, this school year has been terrible. It's up and down, and there's just so much, it's a little chaotic, and not having a system for us right now we're feeling it. There's like a compound negative effect to that. So let's turn that around, sweetheart. Let's use this framework, and let's go get it. Let's do it.
All right, everybody. Well, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.
Yep.
So have a great night and have a good week. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if so, please continue to listen and subscribe on Podbean, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. We would greatly appreciate positive reviews, and we will answer any questions at feedback@destinationmarriagepodcast.com. For up-to-date content and news about the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at destination_marriage and visit our website at destinationmarriagepodcast.com. Be sure to tune in next week.